Ramadan is starting in just a few days, and during this time, Muslims abstain from eating and drinking during the daylight hours. It's a time of connecting with God and reflecting upon ourselves. Yet many of us are unable to fast during this time because of illnesses, and that includes mental illness. So today I invited Safia Ravat, who is a female religious director at her local masjid, so we can talk about this.
I think many of us right now can't fast because of our mental illness. And these can be things like anxiety, mood disorders like depression or bipolar disorder. And some of us are even experiencing eating disorders. All of those things can be very challenging and make it difficult for us. And I feel like a lot of us can't even tell people. There's a lot of stigma surrounding mental illness in our community, and people feel that they may be judged if they tell other people. I think a lot of people feel like if I tell someone, they might treat me differently because I have a mental illness. Or I don't want anyone to think that I don't care about my faith or that my iman is weak, because I feel a sense of uneasiness when I think about how fasting will impact my illness. All of those things combined contribute to the person feeling even more isolated from their community and less likely to reach out for help.
So someone has a fever, someone is very ill, elderly, or even the nursing mother or even the pregnant women. So we hear about these physical difficulties that allow someone to break their fast. And we don't shame people for those reasons. People just say, I'm not fasting, I'm not feeling well. And we let them go, and we just say, hey, I hope you're doing okay. And what's interesting is, from the maqasid al-sharia, so from a fiqh perspective, an Islamic law perspective, there are 5 things that the sharia or the Islamic law should protect. And of those things is the nafs, which means the person's body, right? Which is why physical illness allows for us to drop the obligation of the fasting, because the nafs, the person's body, is so important to protect. Well, amongst those 5, interestingly enough, maybe not very common knowledge, is al-aql, which is the mind. So the protection of the mind and the mental health and mental well-being of a person is one of the 5 objectives of the Islamic law and the Islamic Sharia, which means that when a law comes into place and something might be harming the aql, then we might have a concession for that obligation due to the fact that we need to protect the mind. And so when we have the ayah in the Quran which says, when you're traveling or if you are ill, then do an equal number of other days, aside from those days that you miss. So you may miss those days when you are ill and make them up later. And then Allah says, Allah wishes for you ease and does not intend for you hardship. And so if one of the things that we protect is the nafs, the body, and therefore the obligation is dropped for fasting, then if aql is one of the reasons, the objectives of the Sharia, then certainly mental health and mental well-being, and if that is being harmed or hardship is coming upon a person because of the fast, then the fast would be removed, the obligation would be removed. And so what does that actually look like? And what's interesting is the 4 madhahib agree upon this. The Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, and Hanbali madhahib, the schools of thought, they all agree upon this, that if by fasting someone's sickness is going to increase, then they should break the fast, right? If someone is ill and their recovery will be delayed by fasting, then they should leave the fast. Number 3, they said, if fasting will cause intense hardship, even if it doesn't make the sickness worse, right? But it'll cause intense hardship, then they may leave the fast. And then also someone who is well, but has tried fasting in the past and they saw that it made them more ill, then they may drop the fast. Okay, so what's interesting here is there are all of these reasons that someone may drop the fast, and all of these reasons fall under physical illness, and we can say by extension or by analogy, mental illness. So if someone finds themselves in a situation in which they are depressed, they have anxiety, and they have bipolar disorder or any other number of mental illnesses, and their doctor, their psychiatrist has put them on a set of medication that they must take every 4 or 5 hours, right? And without taking those, meaning they've tried in the past to not take them, or their doctor has said you absolutely cannot miss a dose, that their sickness will worsen, then the fast is not obligatory upon that person, because the sickness will be made worse by fasting, or the recovery will be delayed, or it will cause intense hardship. And so there is simplicity in this religion, in that Allah wishes good for us. And for the healthy person, sound physically and sound of mind, then fasting is good for you and it benefits you. And it teaches you all these things, and it has all these amazing benefits. But if you are someone who comes under that category where you are physically or mentally ill, then fasting may harm you, and therefore the obligation is removed. And so we understand from this ultimately that if someone has a mental illness and they have been prescribed medication, and they have to still take that medication, and fasting would harm them, then the obligation may be removed. Or if someone is not taking medication, but they're on a certain regimen, and when they've fasted in the past, it has caused them to plummet mentally, right? They've tried to fast and it's been really hard, to the point where we would call it intense hardship. We're not talking about the general, I'm feeling hungry, I'm feeling a bit fatigued, I'm feeling thirsty. It would be actual, diagnosable by your doctor, by your therapist, by your psychiatrist, saying, no, this puts you into a really bad state. There's a lot of hardship here. You really shouldn't fast. Then even that person could, the obligation could be removed from them. And so it is a beauty in our religion that there is this concession given for those who are facing difficulty. Now, the problem comes with our community and the stigma at the end of the day, that we don't consider that even an objective of the Sharia, when it certainly is agreed upon by all scholars to be one of the 5 objectives of the Sharia. And so what we need more therapists out there, more Maliha Khans out there, helping us learn about this, how important mental illness is, and then couple it with our scholars and our teachers who are saying, yes, by the way, this is one of the 5 objectives of Islam itself. And so this is very important, and it's something we need to talk about, and we need to recognize as a valid excuse for breaking the fast. Allah, at the end of the day, wants ease for us, and He doesn't want intense hardship for us. And so He is a God of mercy and circumstance.
The beautiful part about our faith is, and Allah being so merciful, is that we have the ability to have concessions, like you said. I think it's important, just like you said, to speak with your treatment team, which may include your psychiatrist, your physician, a therapist, and also I think speaking to an imam or leader in the community, a religious leader in the community, is an important thing, because that way we have some sense of ease. I think a lot of people feel lost on what to do in certain situations like this. So being able to have that guidance and support from other people can be very beneficial during this time. Because of the stigma that there is, I think we have to change the narrative surrounding mental illness in our communities. And I think all of that starts with education. Thankfully, a lot of that narrative has been changing through conversations at different masajids. Healthy conversations surrounding mental health have to become the norm and trickle down into our homes. When that happens, a lot can change for people who are struggling and family members of people who are struggling. And I would say for someone, if you're struggling with a mental illness, or if your loved one is struggling, maybe doing something as simple as searching on Google what's going on. There's so many wonderful resources out there, and I can link some of the resources in the description for the video so that people can utilize it. Still challenge yourself to reach out to people who are safe for you in your life, people that are your confidants, people who have shown time and time again that they're there for you. Share what you're going through with them, because I know this from my personal and professional experience, that when we share our struggles with other people, we just feel so much lighter, and it has such a healing power to be able to share our burdens with others.
If you found this information to be helpful, make sure to share, like, and subscribe so that you can benefit someone who may need it. I'll see you in the next one.